Because I was there.
But what I'm going to do is I'll read through 4 of the stations, not the whole thing, just parts of it, and I want you to pick up on what is similar between all 4 of them. Okay?
Okay, boys.
So I'll read through a couple of the descriptions.
I'll do my best.
And all the listeners out there.
Yes. And you guys can guess as
I'm
well.
being tested.
Yeah. But it's very easy.
It is really easy.
It's very easy, but there's a really big point behind it, which is why I'm going to do it. And it I guess I'm emotional with this. It's really beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Okay. So, station number 1, Jesus is condemned to die. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to the ending. Then Pilate from his chair of judgment asked the crowd why they wanted my son executed. All around me they shouted, "Crucify him." I wanted to plead with them to stop, but I knew this had to be. So I stood by and cried silently. The second station. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I just got to find the spot. 2 men dragged over a heavy wooden cross and dropped it on his shoulders. Then they shoved him down the road. My pain for him was unbearable. I wanted to take the cross from him and carry it myself, but I knew this had to be, so I walked on silently. The third station, Jesus falls the first time. Now my whole body began to tremble. Then the guards kicked him. He rose slowly and began to walk again, yet they still whipped him. I wanted to protect him with my own body, but I knew this had to be, so I walked on and wept silently. And then for the fourth station, I'll read the whole part, because this is the part where Jesus meets his grieving mother. I had managed to break through the crowd and was walking side by side with my son. I called to him through the shouting voices. He stopped. Our eyes met, mine full of tears of anguish, his full of pain and confusion. I felt helpless. Then his eyes said to me, "Courage, there is a purpose for this." As he stumbled on, I knew he was right, so I followed and prayed silently.
That gets me every time. Oh my goodness. That gets
So
me
based
every
off
time.
those 4, this goes on like through all the stations, but there's like a particular line that repeats like throughout all the stations.
Cried and wept silently.
Yeah.
It's
But
the
the
part.
last one said prayed.
Yeah, so it was, I knew this had to be, but she kept on going silently. And so that, like, for some, like, it just struck me that she, like, never said anything. And, like, for good reason, because, like, But, like, if you think about, like, our human relationships, like, obviously, like, if that was my son, I would be screaming for him, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, the unconditional love. But to see her son, she knew, like, she just accepted it. And so I taught the kids that there's, like, 2 fiats that, there's more, but there's, like, 2 major ones that Mother Mary gives. And so fiat is, like, her yes. So the first one was when she said yes to giving birth to her son, Jesus. The second was to his death. So it was, like, the 2 polar opposites of his life, his birth and his death, which are 2 major events that make up our faith, right? And so, and so I remember when I was trying to make up the talk for Mother Mary, I knew that I had to say this because this script is not really shared very often, like Mary's Way of the Cross. And so
I never heard it, man.
It's so beautiful.
So most of the time you just think about, like, Jesus' perspective or, like, spectators' perspectives, but Mother Mary is like you never know, like, how did she feel? And then you look over the fact that she stayed silent the whole time. Like, even when she saw her son, she didn't say anything. She was just like...
And for me, watching her give this talk and then watching the kids as my job as coordinator tells me to do, it was just so crazy to see the kids, like, face, like, wow, like, this was what Mary did. And then reflecting back on when we were in stations, I played Mother Mary 1 year.
Me too.
Yeah, we both did. But I just remember feeling so unworthy of, like, playing her because I was like, there is no way I could ever, like, play the part of someone so amazing. Like, someone who would do exactly what she did, silently walk behind Jesus and follow him. And I remember my role was running from one side of the church to the other up to Jesus and just looking at him with such, like, immense, like, love. But not, like, obviously I had no lines. But just, like, that silentness. I remember what the day, Good Friday, the day, Good Friday. It is the day. Just not seeing who was playing Jesus as who was playing Jesus, seeing that person as Jesus.
Yeah.
And that was just like, and like me as Mary, and like that feeling was just like, whoa, like I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like for a mother to walk behind her son.
Yeah.
To his
Actually,
death.
you know, like when Genesis says, like, Adam says, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. I think the only other person that can say bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh was Mary.
True.
Because Jesus received his whole humanity from her.
Yeah.
So the blood that Jesus spilled was her blood.
Yeah.
You know, like when his body was being scourged, it was her body because they shared one body. Like that, like DNA, everything was just the same because that's where he got it from, right?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, if you read The World's First Love, highly
so
recommend
good.
it.
Okay,
It's
I
like
guess
one
I
of
have
my,
to read
it's like
it.
one of my favorite books.
Yeah, I might have to pick that
Yeah,
up.
me too.
I've given like 5 copies
Oh
away.
my gosh, it's so
Send
good.
Send
bro.
my
Come
way.
on.
Like, hello.
I'll give you one. I
It's so
honestly,
good.
it's one of my favorite books, and it honestly is so good because there's that. It talks about the wedding feast of Cana, and when Jesus, when Mary says like, perform your first miracle, they have this silent dialogue that they have, Mary and Jesus, that only they can understand. Where Jesus like you know
not
it's
coming.
not my time is not coming,
Yeah.
but what the subtle context is, mother, you know that if I perform my first miracle, that I will be headed to the cross.
Yeah. Like,
Is
this is where
this
it starts.
this what you want from me? And then she had to decide, do whatever he tells you. And then they agreed like it's time.
Yeah.
And like for a mother to be like, I'm ready to let you go
Yeah.
to die
Goodness.
for humanity, I was just like, oh my goodness. Like when I read that dialogue, and it's at a wedding, Like it's like
Yeah.
union
Yeah, bro.
and like
Yeah.
life, and it just goes to show that like Christ is the bridegroom,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
for his bride, and his life is to be ransom for his bride.
Yeah.
And you know what we were saying, like you don't pursue a woman because of her beauty, you render her beautiful through your pain, right?
Dang-
And that's
oh
what
my
that's what
goodness.
Jesus did, right? He made her beautiful, he made her white as snow through his scarlet blood,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, as men, we're called to do that, right? Through our suffering, we make our, you know, in a way, quote unquote, brides beautiful. And so Jesus as the role model, and he does that at the wedding,
Yeah.
like he already forecasts his death, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this book,
Yeah.
like, oh, so
Sounds like
good.
There's
Really
a part
good
in the book that I took for the beginning of my talk. You know when parents or like family members always say, "Oh my goodness, you look so much like your mom,"
Yes.
or "You look so much
That's
like your
you,
dad."
Laura.
Yeah.
You look so much like your mom.
So the way that I started the talk was I told the kids, I was like, have you ever heard that before? And they were like, yes, like obviously people have told us this. And so like by show of hands, I was like, okay, who looks like their dad? And they put up their hands. And I was like, okay, who looks like their mom? And they put up their hands.
I look like neither.
Really? Oh,
That's
that's
what
true.
they
That's true.
Wow.
Abby, no, but it's true. Abby looks like your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead
My
giveaway.
dad, my brother looks like my dad.
Yeah, dead giveaway.
And
as
I'm
well.
like, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, but then
Sorry,
like
bro.
the book, it was the book that talks about it. The book asks, who does Jesus look more like, his mom or his dad? And then obviously like the kids are like, whoa, like like we don't know what God looks like, so how are we supposed to know? And so I was like, okay, I'll answer that at the end of the talk, and then I continued on. So they had to like,
Yeah, she left us at a cliffhanger.
That was very good.
thank you. Well, they had to learn about Mother Mary, right? And so the talk, I'll see if I have the
Wow.
notes. Thank you.
I'd be hooked too.
Yeah, we like they
Yeah,
were so
low-key
hooked into it.
am
Yeah.
hooked right now. So
Yeah. Do you want to take a guess at what you think? Who you
It
think
is?
Jesus looks like? Either his mom or his dad?
I know
His
the answer,
mother.
so I'm
Yeah,
not
you
gonna
can say
guess.
I don't know.
But you've read
Take
the
a
book.
guess.
You should know. The
You should
answer.
know.
Do you know it?
To be honest, I don't.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I,
Do you wanna take a guess?
I think I remember the ones that really like caused a lot of emotion
Yeah.
for me.
Huh.
Do you want to take a guess?
I say mother, but
Mother? Ken?
Ah, man. I'm going to go with father.
Okay.
Hmm.
Do we have to
Okay.
explain our reasons? No.
Sure.
No. All right. AJ, go for it.
I say mother because that's where he gets his DNA from.
I'd say father because God the Father has witnessed humanity from the beginning. And I think his redemption through his son Jesus Christ is only possible because of that relationship, because of that filial relationship. So I would go with God the Father.
Those are good guesses.
Yeah,
okay.
they are.
So the way that the book said it, I wrote it like word for word here. So it goes like, so where did Jesus get his beautiful face, his strong body, and his clean blood from? He got them from his mother Mary. Where did he get his divinity, his divine
That's what I
mind
would
that
say.
knows all things? He got them
That's-
from his
I
heavenly
know.
Father's side. You took after your father's side in grace, but in your humanity, you took
Yeah,
over
exactly.
your mother's side. Yeah.
Chills
So
every
it
time.
was so
Yeah,
cool because like
I
mother
believe that.
Mary
Yeah.
is like
Trust.
100% human, and so that's where
Yeah,
Jesus gets his
bones
his
humanity
humanity
from,
from.
and then divinity is from his
Yeah,
father.
bone
So it was
from
both.
a
You guys were
bone.
both right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are both
Flesh.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Wow.
and if you read the book, like the first, I think the first thing that it says, like in the first chapter, and the last thing it says is that like, when a man is pursuing a woman, he's looking for Mother Mary.
Yeah.
And when a woman,
Ooh, I
Yeah.
never thought about that.
yeah, and when a woman is trying to be the way that she ought to be, she is trying to model Mother Mary.
Wow.
That's what
Yeah.
we based our sisterhood off
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
It was Mother Mary.
It was Mother Mary.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
Mother Mary.
Yeah.
And so I was like, after reading that book, I'm
Yeah,
like, yo,
eh?
I need to find a daughter like that is being modeled by. I was gonna say molded and modeled,
Modeled,
and
and you
that's
put it together.
Modeled.
Modeled.
Yeah.
English.
English.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so
Yeah, and vice versa. I think for women, we should look
for
for someone.
a guy that has that
Well,
looks
yes,
like Mother Mary.
no, someone
No.
that
Treats
Olive
their
skin,
mother.
right?
treats their mother like
Treats their mother.
gold because
Yo.
that's a true testament to
Yeah, man.
like him
How
as
they
a
would
person,
be with the
how-
family.
yeah.
Yeah.
And not only treat their earthly mother, but like their heavenly mother, like what they see of Mary, what Mary is to them.
Yeah.
I think is a true testament to what we would look for
Mhm.
in men.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually noticed that there's a lot of seminarians and priests that have a strong devotion to Mary, but not a lot of husbands.
Ooh, that's a good point.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I want to give
Why?
my dad a shout out
Yeah.
here because he is on that couch in front of our shrine at home, praying the rosary every day in the
Wow.
morning. Like
Amen.
that's the first thing he does. I think maybe the second thing after washroom or something. Maybe, I'm not sure. But he's down there, every day,
Wow.
man. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
So praise.
Your dad is
yeah.
a cool dude, bro.
Yeah, thanks, eh? Yeah, I do look like my dad. Funny story, we were in India, in Goa, and when was this? This was probably like 5 years ago. And we were at a church, we went to mass, and then some lady taps me on my shoulder, and she's like, you're Joachim's son. And I was like, yeah, how did you know? He's like, you look exactly like him.
Oh.
That was his teacher
Oh.
from back when he was a kid. Yeah.
He might have had a flashback and be like, Joachim.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
so cool.
Yeah, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Who do I look like, Laura?
Your mom.
Everyone says that.
Yeah.
I
What'd you say
look
your
like my
mom?
I also want to give. I feel like I should give my mom a shout out too because she is also a huge prayer warrior,
Yeah.
sending out crazy rosaries, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
bulk rosaries. God bless her. Yeah.
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 Nah, my
Shout
mom.
out to all our moms.
Yeah, for real.
Yo, my mom basically bribed me into the faith. She was- yeah, she's a smart woman. She's like, you need community service hours.
Ah,
And
nice.
so go to this retreat.
Bless her, eh?
Go to this retreat.
Go to this retreat.
Go.
and they will give you community service hours. Went and changed my life.
Wow. Praise
Yeah.
God.
Yo, I'm gonna bribe my kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, my mom, she got me wearing the scapular, at a very young age. Super young. I think she also has the devotion to Mary, which I've never spoken to her about. Maybe I should
Yeah, you
someday.
totally should.
Her name's like Assumpta, which is
Assumption.
Ooh,
Assumption.
that's so
Yeah.
pretty.
That's so beautiful.
So
Yeah.
I heard, that's her first name, but we go by the second name, Cecilia. But yeah.
Oh, that's my mom's second name too.
Oh, right on.
We're
Yo,
like Batman
yo,
and Superman.
Yo, I was
We're
actually
like,
thinking.
we share the same.
Yo, I
mother's
was actually
name.
thinking we could like take our moms out to Latin mass because we wanted to do it, but I'm like, yo, we should take our moms out because I don't know, I just had that thought during adoration. So we should think about that, and then Andre could maybe bring up the future mom-in-law.
Yeah, future mom-in-law.
Yeah,
I was gonna be like his mom's far.
yeah, way far.
But yeah.
Yeah, just an idea, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
We could talk it over
Yeah.
because we've been wanting to do that.
Latin Mass, us
Latin
guys.
Mass, yeah.
Let's go us
Yeah.
guys first.
Okay, sure. We'll bring the moms later on.